Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to review the paranormal horror film Devil's Tree Rooted Evil, a brand new 2018 horror movie that is supposedly based on true life events. Now normally when you hear that tagline on a movie, especially in the horror genre, it usually makes you run a mile because generally speaking they aren't really, and they're greatly exaggerated. However, what gives this film a little bit more of a genuine feeling is right at the end of the movie they tend to give you a little bit of like real footage and news clippings, and they even get a medium like communicating at the site with supposedly people who are characters in this movie. So it makes it feel a little bit more believable, I suppose, when you see this at the end. And what do we get with this movie? Well, at the beginning we meet a journalist student who is looking for a subject to do her thesis on, and she stumbles across this local story of this supposedly evil tree that the local residents are wanting to cut down because it has this reputation, and she's never heard of it before, this tree, even though she's lived in the area most of her life. So she decides to go out and have a look at this tree at the local park area. Feels something there, feels a little bit uncomfortable, senses something, and goes and speaks with her partner who is a journalist student with her, and they decide to do the thesis on this tree. And while researching it, they discover that actually there is a very violent and brutal and bloody past associated with this tree, littered with murders and sacrifices and things like that, and cult behaviour. So the more they investigate, the deeper they get into it. It starts affecting them. They start hearing things, feeling things, and they go out and interview people who've had a past history with this tree. And the more they uncover, the scarier it gets, basically. And that's the story that we get with this movie. Now, apart from the fairly slow start to the movie, it's fairly dull start. I have to say, once you get over the first 10 or 15 minutes of this movie, it's pretty good, it's pretty entertaining. There are a couple of questionable acting performances in the movie. In particular, the guy who plays her partner, who she's doing the thesis with. I didn't buy his performance at all, really. But other than that, it's a fairly decent standard here, the acting on display. And I think the good things about this movie probably outweigh the bad things, and there are a few bad things. But I do have to say, and I didn't expect it when I watched this movie, the death scenes in this movie were absolutely brutal and gory in a way that I wasn't expecting, and I found a couple of them very difficult to watch. So if you like really shocking and pretty gruesome deaths in a horror movie, you're going to get some kicks out of this movie, because it don't mess about. It definitely doesn't mess about, this movie. Some of the problems that I've got with this movie is quite niggly stuff, some of it, but to say it's had such a dangerous reputation, this tree, as she goes and visits it for the first time, she gets out of the car, walks past a set of picnic tables, and then it seems like she's there at the tree in no time, and you just kind of think, well, if it had such a dangerous reputation, this tree, you certainly wouldn't be putting picnic tables near it, that's for certain. There's some really bad exposition scenes in the movie. Usually, as usual, Google comes to the rescue. They start doing Google searches and find everything that they're looking for, which just doesn't happen in real life. And they go from like supposed journalist students to like paranormal investigators a little bit too quick for my liking. And there's scenes in this movie where they bring on board like this paranormal investigating team to help them at one point. And when they start trying to hear stuff and find things at the site, they're getting things straight away. They're hearing voices, they're seeing things on the scanners and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, Most Haunted's been going for what, 15, 20 years now, and they've not caught anything even close to this. It just beggared a little bit of belief, and it really did stretch the believability a little bit. Like the first time they go there, they're getting, like amazing footage straight away. You get some flashback scenes in the movie that flesh out some of the dark past and histories of the tree that I think are done particularly well. And the film is genuinely frightening at times and tension building at times. And the soundtrack does a really good job of helping it build that fear and tension. And even though there are a few plot holes that you could drive a bus through, I thought generally speaking they told the story pretty well, and they knew how to give a good horror movie here. And even though I think the ending will possibly divide some people, I thought it was a pretty good ending too. So overall, I have to say this movie really surprised me. It does have its faults, it really does, but the horror elements in the movie outweigh those faults, and I think what they've delivered here is a pretty impressive horror movie that certainly scared me. Like I said, the death scenes really shocked me. I just was not expecting those death scenes at all in this movie. So I would have to say I would give this movie a very strong 7 out of 10. I found it really entertaining, genuinely frightening, and certainly worth a watch if this is your type of horror movie. So yeah, I'm sure you can forgive its faults. I certainly did. So it's worth a watch, this for sure. So if this is your first time visiting this channel, please consider subscribing. It would be really helpful, and thanks for watching, everybody.